Greetings and welcome, my friends. This is Thigh Master. No, wait, it's Stick Master. He yells at kids to get off his lawn. We're kicking things off with a 4-lander. We have a factory and a tome ready to go on schedule, and an Ugin when we have the mana to get him the shell in there. This will do. Keep your pants on. Our Surveil land shows us another tome on top. Fork, yeah, we'll take it. They drop in a shark land, a clear signal they might be trying to go with some mill action. We'll have to keep an eye out and play this one carefully. We'll scry up at the end of their turn. On top we have a plains, but we'll go send it on down. We still have 2 lands in hand and more draw and scry coming our way. We hit 3 mana and it's time to synthesize. On top, we have a snare and a fountain port. I do like getting the fountain port. We'll take both, and in that order. Bro is having a moment of doubt and pain. They've never placed a bigger bet. They've never seen a bigger threat. They take a 2 spot to the face from their own land. And then they don't have any plays. That's not suspect. Not at all. That's okay, because now we're not doing much of anything this turn. In fact, we'll drop our Surveil land, then pass the turn. If they're going to sit and wait, we've got time to not have our keycards countered. They spend another turn doing nothing. That's fine, we'll use our tome to draw. The more they do nothing, the better prepared we'll be to do something. We draw another factory. It might be a bit early for a second one, but let's see what they've got. We still have mana to draw with our tome, even if they have a counter. To my surprise, our second factory lands, and we'll get our first Robot Overlord. On top we have another 3 steps ahead and an authority. I'm not sure how good the authority is going to be against a deck threatening mill, so we'll send it down. They hit us with a strategic betrayal. It's a removal for our Robot Overlord, but it doesn't do anything about our factories. They follow up with a pulse to wipe our factories. Not only do they threaten mill, but they've also brought a very specific set of removals to deal with all manner of permanents. That's been noted. We'll add the second tome since the first one is about to expire. The one advantage we have is our card draw. They go with a Horn of Plenty, and that's fine. We're not going to counter it, bro. It's all yours. We draw an authority and we'll play it out. In case they have men, we can at least slow them down. They fire off a bargain. At long last, they show a hint that they've brought some card draw to the battle. They fire off a necropsy to take out our authority in one of our tomes, but they've picked the wrong one. We'll use it before we lose it, and that will add the final counter. That draws us a Waterskin, and even with all their removals, we're in good shape. We'll go with our Waterskin this turn. We can start working our way towards Ugin mana. They play out a Storm Soul that I did not see coming. Sure, it's big, and it can come back from the grave if we try to bury it. It's big. It's bad, and yet it doesn't see play. There's their mill plan, finally coming online. We'll knock it out of the air with a 3 steps ahead. There will be none of that. They counter back, but they've tapped out, and they are down to just 2 cards in hand. We'll go with the Snare and snag their monument. Sure, we could deal with their Storm Soul, but we have time still. They hit us with a Duress, and that could take out Ugin. In fact, that's what I suspect they would take. Let's decline the invitation to Duress and counter with a 3 steps ahead. It's a serious move that requires a serious answer. They activate their Manland. That's 11 power, almost half our life total. They send it, and they get to mill 4 cards, and they take away 4 lands. It's time for Ugin to come in. With any luck, we can have him stick around and influence this game.
Heed my count. My timeless wisdom guides you. My plan bears fruit.
They go with another mill monument. The problem with that is it isn't colorless, and it doesn't do anything to Ugin. We have a whole 9 cards in the grave, and that's a long way from where they would like us to be. We draw a factory. That's our 3rd one this game, but first let's throw down our archive, and since it is colorless, we can snipe their mill monument. They do activate it before it's gone, but 2 cards is hardly anything. You know they hate to see it, but see it they must. There are very few counterspells that would stop this ability, and they wouldn't be playing those.
Fate flows as easily as water.
Next up, we'll play out our factory. If all goes well, we'll have too many things for them to worry about. They have another 3 steps ahead to stop our factory. They might think we don't have enough firepower without our synthesizers. We'll have to prove them wrong.
Focus, breathe, and learn.
They activate their manland once again. They need to hit Ugin. He's already on ultimate loyalty. We can't stop the mill, but we can stop them from landing the hit. They already played a land this turn, so they won't be able to drop the shark land until their next turn. They play out another mill artifact, but they have only 1 mana left. They use it to mill away a pair of cards. And those were both lands. It's time for an ultimate. We'll grab what's left of our colorless cards and get them in play for free.
This conflict.
And that includes the powerful Krang. We'll play everything out. All their stuff will get wiped out in the process.
My eye will mend this broken world. I grant you a boon. Heed my counsel. Preparation yields success.
We'll cap things with Krang and we'll get in for damages. They might be at an elevated life total, but when Krang comes a-knockin', their boots will be rockin'.
The wise heed my advice.
We'll add the authority to our board in case they try to fire back with flying men of their own. They skip through their turn without any plays. We'll make a pair of sushi. They do play the betrayal after all, and we don't want to be caught with Krang as the only one on board. We don't really need additional draw. We'll use the tome to scry. If we improve the quality of our draws, that will be just as good. On top, we have a Don and Leo. We'll take the turtles. More men equals more firepower on board. We'll get in for hits and we'll take their life total down, and they'll have one last turn to try to turn things around. We'll drop in a Helm. It might not even matter, but if we make some map tokens, we can pump our sushi if they manage to find a way to deal with Krang. They counter our Helm, and we'll let it go. This is the power of having more cards than them. We'll just follow up with our second Helm.
Insight is vital to success.
This is their last turn. This game will finally end. They fire off a betrayal, but that's why we've got sushi around. You can eat one of those, bro. We'll even put some ketchup on it for you. No charge for the ketchup. That was their last card. Shenanigans can only get you so far. You have to bring cheese. They activate their manland. That's not enough. We're not even going to bother blocking. Enjoy the hits, bro. Just keep your pants on. He's reaching for his belt. Cover your eyes, my friends.
I will not die here again.
That's GG's. Extra cheese. This is Whizzing Pete. No, wait, it's Wizard Pete. When you gotta go, you gotta go. We get a shuffler special with plenty of our mana artifacts. We do have a tome that we can play on schedule to help us find a third land. All we need is one more. Keep your hopes up. They fire off a sleight of hand. Is this card making a comeback? It's time for our tome to get in there. We'll want to use the scry ability at the end of their turn and even at the start of our turn in case we don't find a third land. Let's set a stop and keep our fingers crossed. They are an Is It player. What a surprise. If I don't see Is It at least 3 times per day, that's when I'm surprised. On top, we have a 3 steps ahead. That's not a third land. We'll ship it. And that too is not a third land, so we'll send it on down. The shuffler hates this deck. They fire off an attachments to start their digging. If they don't have their key pieces and we can get a land, we have a chance. But if they start playing out their critical cards, we're toast. To start our turn, we'll scry. And that is pay dirt. It's a little late, but we might be able to do something this game still. We'll test the counterspell waters with a Waterskin. If they counter it, no problem, and if they don't, it's more mana for us. This time around, we'll go with the Archive. That gives us 6 mana in total, so we can play out the factory and still have mana up to counter with our 3 steps ahead. Do they have a handful of removals, maybe? I find it odd they are not making any plays. Anyways, we'll go ahead and draw. No use scrying over spilled mana. We have enough mana now, but I'm still nervous about pulling the trigger. They've got 4 mana untapped, enough to quench twice. We'll keep building up until I can't take it anymore. They fire off an Opt. These single mana spells really have me wondering what their game plan could be. If we had a second 3 steps ahead, we'd have enough to counter twice after dropping the factory. I think it's time we went for it. On top, we have a second factory and a tome. You have to love both, so we'll take them and in that order. They go with a Winter Night Stories, and that still doesn't offer up a clue. The only thing we know is they are very likely to be playing men. On the bright side, this is highly unlikely a Lessons deck. It's time for factory number 2 to get the shell in there. Start the production lines and print some sale signs. On top, we have an island under the tome. We will keep both and in that order. They hit our first Robot Overlord with a bounce-off. They've rejected our AI, so we'll have to run diagnostics back at the factory. Sometimes a model comes off the assembly line not working right. We'll hold what we got. We've got a tome coming, which will get us more cards. There's no pressure to make plays. We'll drop in our tome, then we'll use it right away. We've got enough mana to use all 3 modes on our 3 steps ahead once we untap. And that is also enough to drop in Krang. Another Stories, bro, is whizzing away some cards turn after turn now. They're digging hard to find the cards they need. We draw another tome and we'll play it out. We've got so much creature control. We might have more than enough to deal with all the men they have in their deck. They flash back their stories. They've likely gone through at least half their deck already. Surely they've assembled their combo by now. Let's take a quick peek. That's 26 cards left in their deck. They fire off in a braid to take out a factory. We'll hit it with our 3 steps ahead, and we'll even add the copy mode for good measure. They have a 3 steps ahead of their own that does tap them out. So if we draw something like Ugin, or even Krang, we've got a green light to get them down without worry. We draw a pair of lands instead. While Rome wasn't built in a day, it's time we got going. Let's throw down a blank snare to get a Robot Overlord. Our Surveil land shows us a Helm on top, and we'll take it. That's the ticket we need to get started on a squad of our AI men. They hit one of our Robot Overlords with a bounce, but we'll make a copy of the other one. The real battle has finally begun. It's all been kicked off. They play out a Hearth Elemental. Don't see those all that often. They follow up with a Sunder Flock, and our Robot Overlords are about to get the flock out of here. They flash back their second stories for even more cards. They need their men to hit us for 28 damages before their deck runs out, and their men are about to meet some stiff resistance. We'll level our second snare. This time we'll cage an elephant. Then we'll drop the hammer on their flock, and it's time for it to get the flock out of here. At the end of our turn, they throw down a crab. The claws are my favorite part. I'll start boiling some water. They go with a second Sunder flock. I was going to copy our lone Robot Overlord, but there's no use in doing so. They send it, but the goalpost was moved. They have to do 32 damages now. We draw an Ugin. That could easily flip this game. The 3 steps ahead will be of great help, and even the Authority can put in some work. We draw a second factory. This is so easy, even a whizzing Pete can do it. Ugin will bring the hammer down on these flocking fools. Our boy Pete doesn't like the hammer blows. He poops it and scoops it. As long as it's all on your lawn, bro. That's GG's, Ugin cheese, and that, my friends, is another satisfied customer.